Hello inventors, Courtney here, and I'm on my way to Mexico on the Carnival Splendor. I'm going to teach you the 10 steps to licensing. Let's go! Now the first step to licensing is actually the pre-step. This is going to be step 0. This is going to be talking about ideas. Now we have to come up with ideas somehow, but how do we do it? Where do they come from? How do we grab them and make them awesome, phenomenal ideas that we can license? Well, there's a couple ways to do this. One way to do it is you can talk about scale. Talk about small to big, big to small. This could be like in the novelty industry, the restaurant industry, from a pocket knife to a knife, or vice versa. That's one way you could come up with a product idea. Another way is you could have crossover industries, that you could go from a product that might be in the office to a product that would be in a restaurant. That's one example of crossover industries. Another way is mixing and matching, or what we can call Frankensteining. Now, Frankensteining is a book. You could take two completely separate products into one product. That would be Frankensteining. Two different products, two different ideas into one new idea. Another way is you see a problem. If you see a problem, you come up with a solution, you could do it that way. Expired patents, yeah, another way to do it. To look on Google patents, you can check out different patents around Google. You can figure out what patents are expired and you could take advantage of those ones. Definitely important to idea shop around, go to Amazon, go to Target, go to in-store, online, check out different products. But here's a pro tip for you. Go to Amazon, check out the bad reviews of products on Amazon. That's super important. Why is that important? Because these are going to be very popular products with low reviews. Now, when you check out these low reviews, what's important here is to figure out what category, what micro category they're from. Figure out what makes it bad, why is it bad, and see if you can come up with a better idea for that product. After you have your idea, what you're going to do is study the marketplace. There's some questions that you want to ask yourself. What is the category? Is it broad category or is it a small category? For example, you got pets, hardware, novelty. Is that going to be overall or is it going to be a micro category? Now, what's important about a micro category, let's explain what a micro category is first. Micro category is a category within a category. So, for example, dog bowls would be a micro category of the pet industry. You want to figure out what the category is overall, the main category, and then you want to figure out what your specific product, what it goes into, what particular micro category that is. Once you learn about your micro category, then you want to write down some keywords. Also, things to take a look at is companies, different companies in the space. What types of products are in that space? The average pricing, and other types of research recommended here. Some other things for you to take a look at is benefits. What benefits there are for your particular product. What's great about it, what's not. Learn different things about that. Other things are the demand of your product. Materials, different things like that. The design of similar products would be good to look at as well. Check out different packaging, different types of products within that similar area. That'll help you figure out what is great for your product and what avenue to go through. Now, this step is very crucial. Definitely take your time on it with this particular step. The more work you do here, the less work you'll do later. Now, the next step is all about inventing for the marketplace. You're going to find similar products to your product to make sure that your product is unique. You want to do much more deeper research about what is out there and the companies of the products that they belong to. What's really important is typing in some keywords, some benefits of your product into Google. I know that sounds scary. You don't want to find your product out there. But if you want to save time and money, you want to make sure that your product is not out there at all. It's one of the most important steps. You don't want to waste any time. You don't want to waste any money. So what you want to do is you want to type in some keywords in a Google search, in Google Images, Google Shopping, patents on Google, trademarks. You want to check out a bunch of different stores, Target, Walmart, Amazon, AliExpress, in-store, Google Scholar. You guys can check out some trade magazines, some trade show websites, many places to look for. Scour the internet to see if your product is out there. make sure you take notes. Take pictures, print things out, put them in your inventor's notebook. But here's another pro tip for you. Write down the companies of the similar products that they belong to. Why is that? We're going to talk a little bit about that later in step 8, talking about your hit list. We'll get to that soon. Now, the next step for the 10 steps to licensing is all about evaluating your ideas. You want to make sure that you're not losing any time, any money, any energy, making sure that your idea is exactly how you want it to be, making sure that you don't spend any extra time or money that you need to. Now, what you want to do is a little bit more market research. You want to write down a bunch of keywords as well. You want to make sure that your idea does solve a problem. Is it manufacturable? Is it expensive to do? Is it expensive to manufacture? Do you need a prototype? Does your idea have the wow factor? Is it easily understood? Does it have mass appeal? Are enough companies in your category, in your micro category? Is there enough? Patentable. You want to make sure that your idea is patentable. You want to look that up. You want to write down those notes. It may or may not be good to have it or to not have it patentable. You want to make sure that you identify a problem in one sentence. Identify the problem of your product that it's solving in one sentence. Write that down as well. Make sure that you also look at the size of the product and the packaging that it's a part of. Make sure that it could fit in Target. Is the packaging too big? Is it too small? You want to make sure that it fits in the size that your product would be in that store. Or maybe it's online. You want to write that down as well. Once again, you want to come up with all of these, thoughts and facts. You want to make sure you write all of these down. The more keywords, the better, because we're going to use that in the next step. Now, the last step was about evaluating your idea. This is the 4th step. If you've made it to this step, congratulations. If you've evaluated it and it's good, it's ready, then let's move on to the next step. If it's not, go back to step 0 and come up with a more unique, better idea. So this step is all about prototyping your ideas. Now, you don't have to create a prototype. It does depend, but you do need a photo, whether it's a 2D rendering, whether it's a drawing, a 3D rendering, whatever it is, physical. It could be online. Either way, you do need some form of picture for your sell sheet. So once again, you don't have to create one, but we do advise you to create one. So one great thing about a prototype is you want to make sure that the unique part of your product works, and you can test that with your prototype if we're talking about a physical prototype here. Now, there's 2 different physical prototypes you can create. There's a looks like prototype and a works like prototype. If you have a looks like one, then it's just your product that looks like it. It doesn't have to work. It doesn't have to be both works like and looks like. So you have the looks like, it looks like the product, or you have a works like. Works like is one that does, hopefully the unique part that is unique to your idea does work. That would be a works like. The whole thing doesn't have to work, just the most important part, the unique part that makes your product different than all the other products within that micro category. Now, whatever you have, the photo, whether it's a 3D rendering or a drawing or a physical prototype, you do want a photo. Now, you want to put this in your sell sheet. We're going to talk about this a little bit later. But whether it's physical or digital, whether it's drawings or sketches, you could even hire someone from Fiverr or Upworks you could use. But if you do make one, once again, make sure that the unique part is made. So now that we're on step 5, we're going to talk about the 1-sentence benefit statement. Now, a benefit is going to be an advantage or profit gained from something. You're going to take your benefit, a bunch of keywords that you got from different areas of the steps. You're going to bring them all down. You're going to put them in a list. You're going to come up with maybe 20 or 30 different sentences, and you're going to pick the one that's going to be on your massive big sell sheet. It's going to be right there, front and center. That's going to be your one-line benefit statement. Now, an example of this could be cuts cost in half, or easily trim your hair with no mess. Something like that, not too wordy, maybe between 3 to 10 words on your sell sheet. Once you do that, once you have 30, you bring it down to 1, you have your one-line benefit statement. You also want to use, for this step, different features, your product name, different uses for your product. Why do you want to have that during this step? Because when we talk about the PPA, your provisional patent application, you want to make sure you have all sorts of alterations and different features, uses, different examples for product names. You want to make sure you have all of that in your PPA, your variations as well, colors, all of that. So you make sure that everything that you need is protected. But let's move on to the next step first. Now, the next step is step 6. This is all about designing your marketing materials. This is a step where you're going to create your own sell sheet. Now, what this is a PDF of your image that we just talked about, as well as your product name, your one-line benefit statement, and all the key features on there. You're going to have a main shot of your product. Now, you can have a couple other photos if you want to, 2 or 3, but keep it at that. Don't make it any more. This is going to be your beauty shot, the main one that people's eyes are going to be directing right to. Now, your sell sheet is going to be PDF. It's going to be digital, but your photo could be a physical, could be, a 3D rendering, whatever, and it's going to be onto your PDF. Make sure you add the benefit statement in there, the name of your products, though it's not always needed. And then you want to think about the colors of your industry. If you're in the restaurant industry, you want to have something red. If you're in a different industry, then you want to make sure that the color fits that industry. You could also create a video sell sheet. You don't need both. If you prefer going the video way, you totally do that. But here's a couple pro tips. When you talk about your feature, the benefits, not the main benefit, just a couple of the features, limit it to 5. Don't have 6 or 7 or 20 of them. You just want 5. You can have 2 or 3 if you want to, but no more than 5. Also, make sure that you keep it really simple. Add your contact information on there at the bottom left or right. And also make sure that everything on your sell sheet makes you smile. Alright, now we've made it to step 7. Now this step is all about protecting your idea. Now what we're talking about here is a PPA. Now this is a provisional patent application. This is going to give you received ownership for 1 year. Now, please contact your legal representative. I am not giving any legal advice here. Another thing that you want to look at is prior art. Take a look at prior art. If any product is similar to yours within prior art, you can check that out easily on Google. You go to Google, you can type prior art and some keywords. You can get to this page where you can type in a bunch of different keywords that are similar to your product, possibly your benefits, to see if there are any prior art there. Now you also want to look into any variations and alterations you could think about in relation to your product, whether it's color or if it's size, anything like that. You want to put all of this inside your PPA. You also want to look into copyrights and trademarks to learn about them as well. Once you've done that, you've created your PPA, and let's move on to step 8. Okay, so now we're on to step 8. We talked a little bit about the hit list in step 2, but now we're going to get super into it. This is a really massive step. Make sure that you don't miss anything as part of getting in, which is, again, going to be step 8. What you want to do is take all those companies that you came up with. You're going to have maybe hopefully 20, 30, 40 would be great. These are going to be your potential licensees. You're going to put them on a list. You're going to write down all their contact info, and you can choose if you want to do it via email or phone. You could also do it on a LinkedIn too. There's a couple different ways you can do it. Totally up to you what you prefer. Also, it depends on what they have to offer. They might not have LinkedIn's, might just be a phone number or just an email address. You want to learn about the company. Make sure that that company fits your product idea really well. You're also going to look into the company's distribution, where they're located. Are they just online? Are they in-store? What stores are they in? Are they international? Are they just national? You want to check out their distribution as well as their time zone. What time zone are they in, as well as what micro category do they fit into, and does it fit in very well with your product? Now, if it doesn't, if it's an okay fit, you want to throw out that company completely. You want to make it as good of a fit as you can. You also, if you only had a couple of companies that you came up with back in step 2, you can do a Google search. Trade show lists are awesome. You can look at the industry, maybe the pet industry. You can go down, you can sort it by what industry, and you can check out those companies, check out the websites, and if they're good, then you can immediately put it on your hit list and you can contact them. Though I do recommend that you don't contact any of them until your hit list is completely full. Again, we're talking about 20 to 40 companies you want on your hit list. You also want to look into brand names. If you go to a store online, for example, you can go to Target or Home Depot online. You can check out products that are within your micro category, and then you can figure out what brand that's associated with. Now, the brand is going to be a potential licensee. They may be open innovation friendly, looking for outside ideas as inventors, or they may not. You're definitely going to have to ask that before proceeding forward to give them your sell sheet. Again, this can be done on phone, it could be email, LinkedIn, a couple other different ways. You can also go in store and pick up brands on the outside of the boxes underneath, maybe in the back, like Costco or Walmart. You can take a look and see the brand name. You could add those companies to your hit list as well. Again, you go get the packaging in stores, and then you got to get ready to call the companies. You want to have a script, and then you want to have a professional recording for your voicemail, just in case if you get their voicemail. You want to make sure that if they call you back, that it's very professional and that you show that you are a product developer, not an inventor. And then you also want to start an LLC. This is going to be totally separate from your hit list and from contacting companies in your script that you're going to create. You're going to make sure that you protect yourself with your LLC. This is also your PPA is going to be filed within your LLC as well. This is all about protection here. Then once you have your scripts for calling, and just in case for leaving a message, emails, and LinkedIn messages, all those different scripts, then you're going to contact them, and maybe 2 or 3 or 4 days later, you're going to contact them back, follow up, and make sure that you either get a yes or a no. Hopefully you have maybe, it could be 1 yes. It depends on how big of a list that you have. Depends on what micro category you're in, what category you're in. But hopefully you get 1 yes. And if you do, then you want to move on to the next step. But before that, we're going to talk about a pro tip here. It is a numbers game. We are in the rejection business. And the more companies you connect to, the higher chances you will get getting a licensing deal. Now, that is step 8, getting in. Let's move on to the next step, step 9. Now we're on to step 9, which is how to negotiate a licensing deal. Now, I'm not an attorney or a legal representative, and I cannot give legal advice. Now, what's important is that you ask questions pertaining to what we call a term sheet. There are 4 things on a term sheet. The first thing is the contract for your product going to be exclusive or non-exclusive? Now we're going to get into territories. We're talking about, is it going to be worldwide, just in a select set of countries, or just within the US? And then we're going into what a term is. Is the contract in the product going to be selling for 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, maybe even 10 years? That's what the term is all about. Now, the last thing, our favorite thing, is the royalty rates. Now, usually the average is 3 to 5%, but I would recommend that you go ahead and ask them what percent they're thinking of first. You never know what percent they're going to give you if you go ahead and ask them first. Though the common is 3 to 5%, it could end up being 7% or maybe even 10%. Now, what's important is that you keep in mind that this is a relationship that you're developing. This is not just for the product or for just your current contract here. It's important to develop that long-term relationship so you can continue pitching products to them in the future. Just remember that this is a relationship, and all relationships have 2 sides to it. Alright, so now we've made it to step 10. This is all about moving on to the next idea. Now, whether you got a contract or not, there's 2 different avenues that you can choose from. If you got a contract, fantastic. Now, what you're going to do is keep that in a little box, leave it there, and now you're going to move on to your next idea. You're going to have that continue to go on while you work on your next idea. Now that you have 1 in, you've completed 1, that's fantastic. You're slowly rolling in royalty checks. Now you're going to focus on your next ones. Now that you've had 1 in, you're going to work on maybe 2 or 3 of them at a time. Now we're going into kind of a serial inventing status. This is fantastic. Now what you can do is, since you have connections with this potential licensee, now your own licensee, you can use that connection to pitch multiple ideas. That's basically what a serial inventor is. Now, if you've got that, that's fantastic. However, if you didn't get one, it happens. Sometimes, the product isn't unique enough. You can go back, you can ask for feedback on different ideas that you had of your different potential licensees. However, if you hit maybe 100, maybe 120, depends on the industry, it might end up being 50 companies that you've contacted who are not interested, it might be time to put your product idea back on the shelf and work on another product. You can definitely take it off the shelf later. Maybe you have a different avenue you want to go to. Maybe you want to try the novelty industry instead of maybe the collegiate industry. You might want to try different industries for that product if you've hit 100 or hit a high number on your hit list and it just didn't work out. Besides that, the 2 avenues you can go to depending on if you got a contract or not. Alright, that's the 10 steps to licensing. I hope you found this educational video beneficial, and I hope to hear from you in the digital licensing sphere. One thing to remember is that licensing is location independent. You can work on your product idea in a park, an airplane, and even a cruise ship. Ciao, ciao for now.